hot wings, hot topics, and real estate. Host Ryan Spellerberg keeps it real with agents, investors, and insiders every month. No fluff, just good convo exploring the trends, challenges, and questions shaping today's market. Now, here's your host with over 20 years of lending experience, Ryan Spellerberg.
They're on fire. Hey, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of Hot Topics. Today, we're talking to someone who's seen the housing world from both sides of the table. She went from realtor to lender to realtor again, and is just crushing it on the real estate side. So welcome, Amanda Starzl.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
I'm super happy to be here.
Excellent. Well, you know what this works. So we progressively hotter wings. So if you want to dig into your first one, I'll ask you your first question, and then you can just dazzle us with your responses. Okay. So the first one, just medium buffalo, very easy. Amanda is a little sick today, but she's muscling through. So we appreciate her coming in. So you've worn a few hats in the real estate world, as we said, going back and forth. How do you help people buy homes knowing what you know today from both sides of it?
Well, that's a great question. When I first got into the real estate industry, I was only 21 years old. And so I was very young, very naive. And thank God I was naive, because I probably wouldn't have stuck in the industry or even gotten into it had I known how hard it would be. But I can honestly say that after 13 years of working in the mortgage industry and now coming back into the real estate side of things, I am so much more confident in my abilities and knowing that I can service my clients to the best of my ability, just because I understand the process inside and out. As you know, working on the mortgage side of things, it's very complex, and there's so many things that can happen to cause problems or blow a deal up or, just make an unnecessary hurdle. So to have an understanding of what those challenges can look like ahead of time is very beneficial.
Well, that was kind of my next question.
Oh,
So you got ahead of that.
okay.
But
Right.
what does your lending background allow you to understand that an average or a normal real estate agent with experience wouldn't know?
Right. Well, when I was a real estate agent in my 20s, I had a basic knowledge of what the lending products were, right? The differences between all the different mortgages available. Oh, I thought I knew. Well, what I realized, I didn't know hardly anything. I had just scratched the surface by the time I got into lending. And so to really understand what those mortgage products are and understand how they can impact the house you're buying. I mean, it makes a huge difference. An FHA, like a government loan, for example, is far pickier. And so
On the condition of
on
the
the
house.
condition of
Yep.
the house. And so there's just certain properties that may not even be worth looking at, because it may not be something, your client would be even able to purchase. And so it's just setting those standards up front and those expectations. So when I meet with a client and I know what type of loan they qualify for, it absolutely sets those standards and what types of homes we can look at. And so just to be able to see those challenges even before they happen is extremely beneficial.
Yeah. Okay. Second wing is Nashville dry rub, if you want to hop
Okay.
into that. And a funny story, after one of these podcasts, we talked about realtors not quoting interest rates to customers. And then my insurance agent told me, you also shouldn't be quoting rates for homeowners insurance, because we do the worst job on it possible, because we always want to shoot low for that. So yeah, you understand that side of it too. So you do a ton of work in the Brandon, South Dakota market. So what are the differences you're seeing between Brandon right now and Sioux Falls?
Brandon, surprisingly, has slowed down a little bit. When I first moved to Brandon 8 years ago, it was the hot place to live. And it still is a great community, don't get me wrong. But the challenges in Brandon right now are that homes are just taking longer to sell. So there's a lot more inventory there in compared to Sioux Falls. Homes are taking longer to sell in Sioux Falls. That's just been a natural transition
The market.
in
Yep.
the market. Yep. But that's been the biggest difference, is that homes are just generally sitting a lot longer in Brandon than they are in the Sioux Falls market. So you just, again, have to set those expectations up front with your sellers. So that's,
Do you think it's because your mayor's named Harry Buck? No.
I bet
Does
not.
that have anything to do with
Better
it?
not say anything.
Okay, got it. We won't make you answer that
No
question.
response. No, I'm just joking. He's great.
Yeah, he does. He's also a realtor.
He is a
So,
realtor, yes, and he does a great job.
yeah, it's just funny.
I know.
Okay, third wing. This is where it gets a little bit warmer. Hot buffalo.
Oh boy.
So it's just,
I thought the dry rub was a little
it's
spicy.
very good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I heard you actually asked your husband out on your first date.
Oh my gosh.
Love to hear that because my wife also asked me out
Really?
the first time we dated.
We have
Direct.
that in common.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So does that same go-getter attitude come out when you're negotiating for clients?
Well, first of all, let me just preface this by saying that is the first time in my life I had ever actually asked somebody out.
That's what they all say.
No, I mean that. I sincerely mean that. And I want to know how you know this, okay?
We do our research here on the show.
Yeah, so I handle my private life a lot differently than I handle my professional life. I'm a little more reserved. I guess I feel like I'm reserved on both ends of it, but um it's interesting because I think people that know me from, my younger years or like I said in my previous, I don't want to say previous life, but pre-moving to Sioux Falls. I don't know if they would describe me so much as a go-getter. That changed for me a little bit when I moved to Sioux Falls 8 years ago. I didn't know a single soul, not one person, except for my husband, who is a very he's an introvert by nature, and he didn't know really anybody, so he certainly didn't help me grow my pipeline from the start. And so I started from scratch, and I just had this mindset that I'm going to fake it until I make it. And I remember being so scared of going into rooms where I didn't know anybody. I mean, it was very intimidating, and it was not something that fits me naturally, to be honest. But there was something empowering about no one knowing me because they didn't know me. So I could sort of just pretend to be this confident person, even though I didn't feel confident, right? And but what happens when you do that, when you face those situations and you face your fears, that confidence builds over time and then it becomes more natural. And so, but no, back to asking my husband out, I did it in a very passive way. I did it through a message on Facebook.
Oh, why wouldn't you? Mine actually had to call me, so.
Oh, wow. Okay. That takes a lot more confidence.
It's funny you say you're an introvert, though, because I specifically remember meeting you the first time at a Super Bowl party for a buddy of ours, and you were very outgoing, and I thought, damn it, another lender in Sioux Falls that's very outgoing. More competition in the market. So,
well, you know what? I didn't know you from anybody at that time.
Yeah.
And had I known who you were and I think how much business you did in town, if I'm being completely honest, I would have been a little more intimidated by you. I mean, I'm just being honest.
I paid her to say that.
Yeah,
So there was an under the table deal just to say that.
I had no idea. And I had no idea who you were. I just knew you were a lender. So I remember picking your brain. And I invited you to lunch
Yeah.
so I could pick your brain about South Dakota housing. I wanted to learn all about South Dakota housing so I could understand it better for my first time home buyers. And again, had I known how busy you were and how much, I don't think I would have asked you because I would have been like, oh, he doesn't have time for me. But you were like, yep, no problem. We put it on the calendar and you spent an hour sharing some of your tidbits on first time how South Dakota housing and other
Great
things.
program.
And so it wasn't until later on when I started hearing your name more and more in the industry that I was like, wow, I can't believe he made time for little old me. That was really nice of you.
I'll Venmo you later for that one. I appreciate that. That's great. Emily's thinking back to like, oh, his ego's just getting much worse right now. So that's great. Okay, so how was the heat on this third one?
And that one was not so bad, actually.
Okay, got it. So on the fourth wing, we allow you to do some extra hot sauce if you'd like. This is the bomb.
I'm going to pass.
Got it.
Because of my cold and my throat today, I'm
Not
a
a
little
problem.
worried about, yes, the spice to begin with.
Okay, so the fourth one is mango habanero if you want to jump into that.
Okay.
So every real estate agent has a story that really kind of sticks in their mind as far as being funny or something happened. Is there one that sticks in your mind, whether the first time or the second time, where you saw something really funny happen?
Oh, gosh, you're putting me on the spot to really think back. Really funny.
I mean, I'll give you an example. So I had an agent this couple of months ago have showing a home, and apparently one of the clients had explosive diarrhea
Oh, my gosh.
and made a huge mess in the bathroom, and then the plumbing was off. So he had to clean it up himself. Like, those are the funny stories you hear in real estate, and I think it's fantastic to hear those. You've got to have something like,
I'm
not
thinking
like
back.
that, but
No, and I'm thinking truly. So I've only been back into the real estate, side of things for a year and a half. So when I'm thinking back to my first 10 years in the business, and the one that really stands out, and I don't know if it's funny, it was kind of embarrassing, not for me, but for the seller, was that they were still in bed, like they were sleeping. And I think that happens pretty commonly, actually. But back then, you didn't have the same texting system that you have today where things have to get confirmed. It was a little different. Like, I started back in the days before they even had, MapQuest. So I was like using a King's Map book in the Twin Cities. It was ridiculous. But he was in bed and he had the door shut, so we didn't even know he was there. And, we opened the door and he flies out of bed. He was in his underwear and it was just extremely embarrassing for everybody there. So we just got out of there as quick as we could. But that was one that comes to mind. But
Did they buy the house?
No, we did not buy. They didn't get to stay there long enough to.
Got it. So Naked Man didn't get his house sold. Got it.
Not to us anyway.
Got it. Okay. Next wing. Did you do your mango habanero?
I did.
You did. Okay,
I
got
did.
it. Okay.
Mhm.
Next one is atomic. This is where it gets a little bit hotter. Remember, take full bites here. Full bites.
Okay.
Okay. So when you were a lender, and you were a lender for quite some time, you saw a lot of realtors in action. Is there an unforgettable realtor moment that you had? While you're thinking about it, I just had it recently. There was a transaction where both realtors hated each other.
Oh,
So then I got to be the middleman on all negotiations and everything else. Really not fun.
right.
Really, really not fun. But
Yeah.
you do have that as a lender occasionally where situations like that happen.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that reminds me of a situation where I became that mediator, in a sense, between a real estate agent. We were dealing with a realtor and a builder, and the builder was not a great builder, to say the least. He built a decent home, but it was more his lack of integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And just, you know, there were lies and disrespect, and so much so that the realtor felt that they couldn't deal with him directly anymore. So then I became the go-between to really mediate those conversations. And it got so bad in the end, he was threatening to not pay the commission out that he had agreed to on the paperwork in the beginning. And so those are very, very challenging situations, things you don't expect you'd ever have to be in as a lender. It's not the natural progression of working on the back end of a loan. But I was, but what I do appreciate about those situations is it allowed me to build that trust level even deeper with the agent. I know they really appreciated that I worked as their advocate.
Yeah, you're earning some bonus points there.
Absolutely. But it was worth it. I was glad when it closed, to say the least, just because it was very stressful for all parties involved. But it definitely deepened the relationship I had with the agent after all was said and done.
Yeah, that's great.
Mhm.
Good. You don't refer any business to that agent now anymore. Okay.
No, but I still like her a lot.
Last one is nuclear.
Okay.
And the rule here is you have to eat the whole wing.
You're kidding me.
On the last one, yep. I don't make the rules. It's my producer. So
I'll have to talk to her after the fact.
I really want to ask you this one specific question. Get in your
Okay.
wing.
Oh, I have to
Yep,
start
you have
this
to
one.
get in
I'm
your wing.
nervous.
Yep. So as a lender with the background that you have, what do you think about the conversations right now about a 50-year mortgage? And I'll use the math because I just did it yesterday for a group. A $400,000 finance loan, if the rate is the same, only drops the payment about $290 a month. To extend the loan 20 years, the total payback was more than $400,000 more. And that's if the rate stays the same. Typically, the farther you go out, the more expensive that interest rate gets.
Mhm.
And we don't want to talk for interest rates on the show, but the higher that rate gets, the farther you go out.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on the 50-year? Now, being on the real estate side, but also having a lending background.
Right. So let me take a drink first. That is spicy.
Mm-hmm.
When I first heard rumblings about the 50-year mortgage, my first reaction was honestly feeling sad. Sad that it was coming to that extreme to make housing affordable, specifically for that first-time homebuyer market. 30 years feels excessive because, again, when you're looking from a lending standpoint at that amortization schedule,
It's not great.
no, it's not. And so, but then on the real estate, side of things, and as a mother of a daughter who will likely be buying her first home, hopefully in the next couple of years, I also understood why that topic was getting brought to the forefront, because over the last 3 to 4 years, the amount of people that can't afford to buy a home, especially in that particular age range, is gone. It's crazy.
Yep.
People just can't afford to. So I understood it. And I think what it comes down to is that if it's used in the proper way as a tool, right, to get into their first home, um, I like that idea, but in the sense that, sorry, this is getting hotter. You didn't tell me it gets hotter.
It does. I said it.
Time
It's
goes-
progressively hotter.
As the time goes on,
Oh yeah, this one.
like it like sits.
This one cooks a little bit.
But if they can use it as a tool up front to get into the home that they want to get into, but then either make like an extra payment a year, or make an extra payment every couple months, that can make a big difference on the amount they're paying down on the loan. Or B, give it 2-3 years, and maybe they've had, a job change or an increase in their income, and they look at refinancing it to a shorter term, let's say a 30 or a 20 year, depending on where rates are at that time. Then I like the idea, because they're using it in the proper way to get their foot in the door.
I see both sides.
I absolutely see both sides, but I don't like the idea. It's because most people don't use it in the proper way, not because they don't want to, but because they can't, or they're just not properly educated, so.
It's like a brick. You can throw it through a window or build a hospital.
Right.
How is it being used?
Or they just get used to and comfortable with paying their payment, not realizing that, most people want to buy their next home in 3 to 5 years, especially if it's their first home. They don't realize that for those first few years, they're not making any progress on their, sorry, my lips are literally getting like numb, so I can't even talk. But they're not making any progress on paying down their mortgage. And if the market continues to soften, we may see a market where like they're underwater on their homes, which is very scary.
Yeah.
Very
Good thing Sioux Falls, so unsteady.
Oh, yes.
Very low unemployment, second lowest unemployment in the country. If we're going to go through a downturn or a slowdown, you'd want to be in Sioux Falls. I'm glad you finally got into the water. I was feeling like,
well, I was hoping
we made of steel.
I was hoping the tea would help my throat, but it's just making the heat worse.
Yeah, I can't imagine trying to do that. So, okay, so who do you want to call you? Who is your perfect buyer, and what's coming up next for Amanda Starzl?
Well, I want any buyer to call me.
Good answer.
I love working with everybody. I love first-time home buyers, because I feel like you build a rapport with them in a way that you don't with people who have already had the experience of buying homes, selling homes. They kind of have to say they know the process already, but first-time home buyers really rely heavily on you and your expertise. And I love being that person for them. But I also love working with. I have a couple different couples I'm working with right now who are looking to downsize. They're at that stage in their life where they're selling their what they thought would be their forever home, so to speak, and downsizing into the one level living. And so there's a lot of emotional,
That's a different emotional situation.
Every stage brings in an emotion, right? Every stage, but that particular stage is really sensitive, and so you have to really understand where that person is at in their life, and meet them there, and know how to guide them through that with how you educate and provide resources, and just the different, just the feedback that you provide to them.
That's why I like working with investors. They're just,
oh yeah,
does the math work? Can I rent it out?
Yeah.
Can I do this?
there's no emotions
Yeah,
involved.
correct. Yep. No highs and lows.
No, exactly. So I would say I want to hear from anybody and everybody.
Got it. Well, that's who we'll call you after the video then. So thanks for crushing the wings.
Yes.
Thanks to our sponsor, Atomic Wings. You guys do a great job.
Yes.
She said she can't feel her lips. So
No, I cannot.
I know she did it right. Thanks again, Amanda. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks,
you for
guys.
having me. Thanks.
Yeah.